In today's video, I'm gonna share with you something that literally transformed and enhanced my life, and that it is the ability of speaking English, as well as everything that is behind the English language and the mindset of it. And this video is gonna be useful for you if, just like me, you happen to be a non-native English speaker, but also if you are an English speaker, stick around because I'm gonna reveal and reinforce some real power and strength that is behind English language that, even though it is your language, you might not be even aware of. All right, so first of all, guys, mastering and speaking English, it is a grant access to literally the whole world. Because let's face it, English, it is the language that is associated with most of the knowledge, most of the concepts and things and ideas that do exist in the world. English is the language of science, of medicine. It is the language of business, of trades and finance. It is the language of law. It is the language of philosophy. And also, of course, English, it is primarily the language for self-improvement. Most of the self-improvement, self-help that you see out there, that you see online, just like my video or before through the books, they are made in English. So just by speaking English, you're gonna be able to improve yourself and find so many tips, so many great improvements and mindset in order to get a better life. And all of this did happen due primarily to the rise of British Empire, in the last century, with the fact that they also did, and it is really bad, of course, invade so many countries, but through that, they spread their influence, and that not so big country that England is suddenly become so powerful because they spread out their language through their web all around the world. And of course, also it is due to industrial revolution, right, that we all did use in the world. And after that, finally, it is the rise, and still until today, of the American empire that spread up and brought up all of the modern soft power, the modern cultures with Hollywood, TV series, and music. Most of modern music are also in English and are coming from the US, whether it is about pop, rock, or hip hop. And also I think the reason why most of people in the world, they do enjoy and they do really feel music in English, even though sometimes they do not understand the lyrics, it is because in English, there's something so powerful that transcends everything. And that even when a song, it is made and sung by a non-native speaker, you can still feel this intensity, this power. And to me, this is truly unique. And this is why English, it is so prevalent, it is so popular in the world. And it is also, of course, due to its simplification, the fact that English, it is not a romantic language, it is not the most elaborate and beautiful language, but it is for sure the most efficient, the most practical. And again, that's why English, it is the language of business, trade, and finance. And for all of that reason, it makes English being so powerful and so strong. And in the world, until now, most people do speak English. And I truly believe, and you can let me know your opinion in the comment below, but I truly believe that English gonna remain the language of the world. And regarding myself, in France, where I was in school, I did study English for, guess what, 12 years. And after these 12 years of English class, I still wasn't able to speak English or to grasp anything. And so because, in school, the way that they teach us English was absolutely improper. And we had teacher who, for a reference, they only spent a year in London when they were students and they were lacking so much enthusiasm, and they literally failed to communicate us the importance and the true power that English would be when we would acquire it. And as a result, learning English at school was a pure failure. And then later on, I came across a group of international students who were in an international school where they had bilingual classes. And I remember, that back then I was about maybe 16. I was literally stunned to the fact that they could speak English so well and that they could be exposed to so many concepts and ideas. And literally I was jealous. And then later on, I did realize, that these people, the reason why they spoke English, it was either because they had a parent who were an English native speaker, or they had a parent who were expat. So in a way, it didn't really have to do anything with them. But guess what? They were quite arrogant, quite cocky and snob about the fact that they were speaking English and that I wasn't. And personally, it is a thing that I've been observed, with a lot of people who do master English, who did acquire English as a second language, or either as a native speaker, is that I found for a lot of them to be quite arrogant about it, to be quite cocky, to be snob toward it. While in reality, this ability to speak English should be a huge plus for you because it pour your cup up. So you should not be arrogant about it, but you should more spread, the good word, enhance also other people's life through your ability to speak English. But just like most of the things, in the world, guys, as you probably already know, it rarely works the proper way. It is oftentimes the wrong usage of it that is applied when someone acquires something great. And then later on, I tell to myself, what? I have to grab English. I want to get English because I literally wanted to expand my horizon. I wanted to become international and develop a complete new mindset. And I knew that through that, I would have to acquire English. So at age 18, I decided to go to Australia. And man, I guarantee you that back then, when I was on the plane going to Australia, I didn't even know how to order an orange juice to the flight attendant. That's how bad I was. And when I first arrived there, I was completely lost in translation, didn't understand most of it. But guess what? After only 2 months of time in there, I was able to speak English the same way that I do speak to you now. And now I'm not bragging about it. I'm not saying that I'm great at English, that I'm perfect at English, but I think that I did acquire a decent level, especially knowing where I was coming from. And you know why, guys? Because I truly wanted it so bad that I do everything in order to acquire it. And I literally put my feet into the door over there. Because what happened is that I was staying, back then in a youth hostel. And I decided that I'm going to chat up absolutely everyone. And I'm going to go towards someone and speak, talk in order to improve. And guess what? Very quickly, just after a few weeks, I was seeing results, and I remember that I had a chat with so many different people. I had a chat with an Indian who were Sikh, the religion. One day, I talked to him for about 45 minutes in a share room, and the guy was so surprised, he didn't know what happened, but I really wanted to practice and improve my English. I talked to a South African who one day who cooked for me and explained me things in English. I talked to literally a lot of people from different walk of life, and I was talking to absolutely everyone in there, whether they were native, non-native. Shit, I even speak English to French there. That's how I was determined. And then eventually, like I said, I did acquire English. And now that I reflect on, the reason why I was able to acquire it quickly, because beforehand, I visualized and I understood the importance and the huge improvement that English would be into my life. And so therefore, naturally, the language infuse into me, just like a bag of tea that you put into hot water, it infused, and then it just naturally come on me. And then voila, I was able to speak English, to be confident in English, and very importantly, to think in English. And I was able to switch from my native language to English because, like I said, I understood the importance of it. And deep down, I always knew that once I would be international, my life will be completely turned around. And guess what? This is exactly what happened, because since then, that was in 2008, I never had a radical change as that in my life, a huge radical change as this, as becoming international. Because, when it comes about English, it is not only the English that you get, but it is what's creates into you, and it is about what doors it is opening to you. And when you are getting English, when you start to speak English, like I said, it is tied to being international. And when you become international, you naturally expand your horizon, and your range of interest become naturally larger, and suddenly you have access to so many things, and you can be exposed to so many different ideas, concepts, and mindsets. And so therefore you become rich, and you enrich your life flawlessly. And the other thing also that I want to stress on is that English, and particularly American English, hold a particular energy and a strong energy that there is into American English. And to me, I literally embrace it. It become part of my identity. So I always had this energy, but the fact that I could rely also now on English, it gave me this extra dose, extra shot of energy that is always with me, just like a freaking, I would say the example of a Spider-Man, once he put his costume that he always have with him, he become the Spider-Man. And to me, that works exactly the same when I do speak English. It is my costume, and all the good element, the good ingredients that there is in this language are now activate into me, and then boom, it's fire. And that's also another issue that I've been observing, with English, is that a lot of speaker and a lot of native speaker, even American, they don't even really realize how powerful their English is, the way that they speak is, and they do not embrace it, and they do not use it as an opportunity to embrace and activate and live through energy, while they are in a very good position because they receive this language, naturally, but they are not even aware of it, and I just found that crazy. And this needs to change if more and more people will realize that whether it's about English language, but literally anything and everything, that when you are able to see the strength, that when you are able to see the power in it, and once you acquire it, you can literally transform and be exciting and jump around, then a lot of people will be in a way, way better place. All right, so this is my takes on the English language and on how it did improve my life tremendously, and on how it can do the same exactly to you. Let me know what is your path toward the English language in the comment below. If you do like this video, give it a like. And I also made a video about 3 fire expression that is gonna lift you up and motivate yourself in English. You can watch it somewhere here. And until next time in English, I'll definitely catch you up soon. Later.